soul food. This is Morning Tide with Victor Salamba and Bramwell Opio this wonderful morning, dear listener. I thank God for all of you. I thank God for the gift of life, and I thank God for the favor He's given unto us to be able to see this day. And dear listener, we continue building our families and building our marriages, and I'm more than glad to share with you today, dear listener, 8 types, 8 types of disastrous marriages. 8 types of disastrous marriages. And I want us to look at this because it is a very remarkable thing that I stumbled onto, just looking at how various couples function. And, and it's interesting that there are very many types of couples you have who, because of what they do, that particular type always ensures that the marriage ends up at a point of being disastrous or a point of breaking, dear listener. And so this is not a comprehensive list of there are other things we can mention, but there are some 8 most common types of dysfunctional marriage types that always push us to the brink of divorce or separation. And I want you to look at it from yourself, because you might find that your partner might be one of the things or you are one of the things. And I want you to read this, to listen to this reflection and mirror it with one I did, I think, earlier on this year, and I think it's on my Facebook page, about the 7 spirits, 7 spirits of relationships. I want you to read them both together, because there's a way that they kind of marry at some point. The first one, dear listener, is the prefect. The first type of marriage is a marriage of prefects. Who are prefects, dear listener? These are marriages where one or both of the parties involved are always counting, are always keeping score, are always following through, wanting to find out what really the other person did. They use information to manipulate the other every time, and they're always looking for the controlling aspects of that relationship. They never know how to forgive, and you never know if something is truly forgiven. The prefects, dear listener, always have their guards up, because they see a marriage as a contest that is supposed to be won. They're always competing. The prefect is always competing. Who is better than the other? Who's worse than the other? So at the end of the day, the marriage never wins because one individual wants to win. That is one type of a disastrous marriage. The second one, dear listener, this is one of the most interesting one. I call them the illusionists. The illusionists. What do you mean by the illusionist type of marriage? This is a couple whereby one of them or both of them have given up on pursuing intimacy with each other. So they escape into a world that is full of illusions and fantasies, And the deeper they go to their fantasy or their illusions, the more they are more connected to their partners, the more they disappear, the more they don't talk to their partners, the more they become desensitized, they don't feel real love, they don't know how to communicate, they become unsatisfied with their partner. In fact, everything, including their sex life, dies because they live in a world of dreams and fantasies. I call them illusionists because they're always living in a world that is not even real. They take their pleasures and their desires and their passions to this world. They have an ideal wife, an ideal husband. They have an ideal way of romance that they live in their own minds. Illusionists, dear listener, never live in a real marriage, and they pull away over time, and over time they disappear. You are with them, but never truly with them. Number 3, we call them the outsourcers. The outsourcers. These are couples that take the most sacred things of the marriage, and I repeat, most sacred things of marriage, and I'll mention them: emotional support, friendship, acceptance, companionship, and sex. These are the most sacred aspects of any marriage. And they take these aspects of the marriage, dear listener, and they outsource, meaning those roles they give to other people. They may escape also into other things, maybe their careers or their hobbies, or they find fulfillment in other things. But the reality is this: they give the best of themselves to other people or to other things, and they pursue this at the expense of the marriage. Outsourcers, dear listener, are one of the most common dysfunctional types of marriage you'll ever find. Because outsourcers, I've said, they'll always give out what is most sacred in the marriage. They will always give it out to other people who are not supposed to be given to. Or if they're not giving it to people, then they'll invest themselves in other activities. In other words, I'd rather get what I want to get elsewhere than get it from the marriage. Number 4, dear listener, is the finger pointers. The finger pointers. These are the people in marriage. Now, this is interesting because you find in a marriage where a man and a wife are both like this, that is a difficult marriage. But I want to explain it in a few seconds that you may understand, because statistically, many couples fall within this category of the finger pointers. What are the finger pointers? These are marriages where both or one of the spouses is always blaming the other for all things that are wrong in the marriage. The funny thing about such couples is that they never really know how to listen to each other, because it's always who has done it worse. They are close cousins to number one, the prefects. But the prefects are always keeping score. I bought you a shoe, I bought you a nini, I did this for you, you didn't say thank you. They're always keeping score. But the finger pointers, dear listener, are always looking for the wrong thing the other person has done. It is never their fault that the marriage has a problem. It's always the other person's fault. These couples tend to have arguments every other time, and they never really find the solutions because no one takes responsibility. You know, if a wife tells the husband that why, you're always coming in late, you don't spend time with me, and the husband will say it is because you talk too much, and the wife will say it's because you don't know how to listen, and the husband will say it's because you're not a person who listens. So they're always pointing a finger to the other to the very end. Even when they're not arguing, their communication still contains a great deal of sarcasm and nagging. They always live in perpetual frustration of the other. And if you find you're perpetually frustrated with your partner, day in, day out, when they breathe, when they walk, when they talk, sana, one of you is a finger pointer or both of you. Number 5, dear listener. These are the separatists. I call them separatists because everything they do, they work as though they are single people. They don't behave as though they are married. In fact, in another context, I call them the single married. Because they are always, these are the couples who never seem to understand that marriage is a partnership, and partnership is required for a healthy union. No. They live as two individuals with separate hopes, separate dreams, separate money, separate hobbies, separate friends, and eventually separate lives together. They're couples who live that way, and they're very good roommates. Because there's nothing they have functioned to do together. They cannot do anything together. And that has been from the beginning. And that's how they live. That's how they know how it's done. That, my dear friend, is a disastrous marriage. Number 6. This is the one who are, I always say, are the most common of them all. They're the most common of them all. Number 6, the listener, are the deceivers. Or we call them the actors. These are the couples who have no trust in each other. And dear listener, what they do is that everything about them is secrets. I want to use a very simple word here. They live in what we call artificial harmony. These are the couples you see in church, holding hands. Yet when they enter the car, matusi inatoka hapo, you can't even utter it anywhere. So the couples who you see will always be at the front line. They're the ones advising other couples. They're the ones doing so many things. They know how to act. But in reality, their marriage is dead, but they know how to act. They live in what I'm calling artificial harmony. They never experience true intimacy because secrecy is an enemy to intimacy, and they have many secrets. Even between each other. To each other, they pretend to be what they are not and who they are not. I want to repeat that. To each other, they pretend to be who they are not and what they are not. They are always hiding something, hiding money, hiding conversations, hiding issues, hiding weaknesses. There's always something they're hiding. They exist in artificial harmony. These are the ones who, when they divorce, people ask, come on, how are they divorced? What hope do we have? But in truth, dear listener, they were living in artificial harmony. This is the most common that I've seen in the time that I've worked. The next one, dear listener, is number 7, are the postponers. Yes, postponers. Ever had an alarm ring and you press the snooze button, ikilia unafinya snooze to add another 5 minutes, unafinya snooze another 5 minutes. There are people who live marriage that way. They're always pressing the snooze button. They're always postponing. Leo amefinya, something comes up, they disappear. They don't talk about it. Any issue has to be postponed. There's no real urgency. If there's conflict, there's no real urgency. So it becomes more comfortable to ignore issues until it gets worse, until it becomes bad. And the problem with postponers is that they secretly hope that their passive approach will make the problems go away, and it always makes it worse. These are times that can lead to very dangerous things. When you hear someone burnt the house, killed the children, killed themselves, many times it's the postponers. Inafika mahali inalipuka. And number 7, dear listener, number 8, the final one, dear listener, we call them the quitters. These are the couples who throw around the word divorce every time. Kila siku mkosana, anataka kuenda. I don't know if you have found someone, some of you are married to such people who are always on the door. Nitaenda, minda kuacha. Every time you argue about something, I'm leaving, I'm going, I'm leaving, I'm going. And I always say, people always tell you they're going. Want to tell them to go. Suppose I want to talk and uende, please. Wacha kutuistia time, enda na uendange. Because the people are always talking about this. They see struggles in marriage as an excuse to quit instead of an opportunity to work on it and to grow. They are very often, on the mindset of remarrying someone else. I'll remarry someone else. I'll move on. I'll walk away. I'll kick you out. I'll take you back to your mother's house. What were vitisho? But in truth, they're always quitting, dear listener. They're always quitting their marriages. Talk to us, dear listener. Those are the 8 disastrous marriage types, dear listener. But more often than not, do lead to divorce, do lead to marriages breaking. I'm Victor Salamba with Bramble Opio, dear listener, on Morning Time. Do any of these things fall within the category you're talking about, dear listener? Do any of these things affect your marriage or your life? And ask us any questions about relationships, about family. We are more than glad to hold your hand and talk to you in this particular morning. Stay tuned.